Welcome back. Thank you for staying with Checkpoint. We continue with our discussion on the politics of the week. And right before the break, we had pitched camp at the post-debate analysis, if you might call it that way. Some were a no-show, but for those who showed up, were they able to articulate the issues, especially what Kenyans needed to know? I'm joined by Dr. Solomon Jenga, Javas Bigambo, and Ambrose Weda. Ambrose, you're holding on to your thoughts. Yes. Let us have them.
I wonder what my friends are talking about.
Yeah.
You go for elections to win. They are not high school debates where you go and just display yourself like a peacock. You understand that? You go there to win. The speech you give is to win votes. It's not about talking about IMF and World Bank and structured adjustment and all those figures. Wananchi do not want to listen to it. You get it, my brother? They are not bothered. And that is why the intellectuals, doctors like him, cannot win elections, because they'll come with theories that they need to present in seminars. No. Wananchi, let me just finish. Don't disrupt. I don't interrupt. Yeah. Don't interrupt. The theories that they present in seminars, they want to bring them in rallies. You look at it. I had put on my Facebook page earlier, 2 weeks earlier, that it would be a mistake for Honorable Raila to go for the presidential debate. Luckily, they took that decision. You look at the benefit and vis-a-vis attending and not attending. How do you assess the benefits? Votes. You don't assess it on how Bigambo here will be happy with your English. So, Honorable Raila, I want you to take this. And remember, in 2017, when Honorable Uhuru didn't show up,
he was an incumbent.
He was in. So being an incumbent means what?
Well, he said his work speaks for himself.
Anyway. I can tell you. The thing is, you assess. And when you assess, remember in 2013, President Uhuru was asked, how much is a loaf of bread? And he said, 1,000. And people are like, who is this? So one small thing can damage the whole thing. This time, take for instance, Raila's advanced age. 2 hours. If he was to take a seat, just sit, that will be a political statement.
True.
Secondly, because of advanced age, he is not as fast in thinking as the chief chicken seller. So the chief chicken seller will come and say, you people took the government, look at the way now we are going down, Unga is this and this and this. And if you analyze the whole thing, the damage would have been bigger. I think Baba was right in not attending. Just like President Uhuru was right in not attending in 2017. It is about winning votes, not winning intellectuals in their houses with big TVs and big English.
No. Now, here's the 1 minute each, because we need to move on.
Listen, let's face it. Of course, you go into elections to win.
Briefly, 1 minute.
The desire is to win. That's a fact. But you see, even showing up like that is one of the approaches to win. But now, I agree to some extent that appearing by Raila would not necessarily have given him a great advantage because of other factors that are self-evident. One, of course, is spoken to do with matters health, advancement in age, etc. And those, in a way, work against him if at all was to face off with Ruto at the debate. But beyond that, we as Africa, we as African countries, why do we suffer the misfortune most of the time by putting leaders in office most of the time who are not so sure of what they want to do? And that's why when they engage in discussions, people get to appreciate what they want to do. In 2013, when the Jubilee duo got into office, they were actually fighting off the ICC. They didn't have a clear program of what they will do when they get into office. They started planning that when they got into office. And we know what happened for the longest period. We don't want to go there again.
All right.
So yes, it's about winning, but winning with a purpose and a goal.
Dr.
I will say this. It is impolitical and not good in calculations by him not going. But I want to ask my senior Weda, is he trying to protrude or give us an idea that Raila is very old, that he doesn't qualify to be the president? Why bring the issue of age that he cannot be able to sit? I will say this, that is profiling. I strongly believe that Baba can stand for those 2 hours. How he managed not to attend is his downfall. And the history will judge him harshly.
But in terms of articulating issues, do you believe they would be at par, as Weda perhaps questioned?
No, let me tell you, who said that Raila is at 77?
Okay.
Ruto is at 55. Who said that Ruto can articulate things better than Raila? That's a lie. Raila can also articulate things like any other. Age is not a determining factor in articulating issues.
So he should have showed up.
He should, full stop. Non-negotiable, but he failed, unfortunately.
Where the final say before we shift focus from the debate.
Listen, I didn't say I'm profiling Raila on account of age. If you know, we are not from the moon or Mercury. We are here. And if you look at the Raila we have today, subjecting him to standing on that podium for 2 hours is actually asking for so much. Not just because he's Raila. Anybody, including you, when you reach that age. And then politically, people will read into it. Otherwise, Raila, I think, is younger than Biden. And I know if he becomes president, and now he starts the legis of the State House, he'll be young. That happens. Now,
those are theories. Those are theories.
Finalize.
No. Those are theories.
Don't shout. Now you are the one with PhD and you're shouting like
let me ask. How can he be old? How can he be young?
I think the question right here is, did he take from Raila's vote basket not showing up?
It did not. In fact, had he gone, the damage would have been big. It is strategy. I told you in 2017, President Uhuru didn't go. You strategize. People strategize. You don't listen to PhD people. You can lose. You listen to the people on the ground, and then you say, strategically, we are not going.
But now just one question, Jesse. Yes. Is it that those who did not show were a no-show or had nothing to show?
Well, you are being semantic.
Okay. One play right there. Anyway, let's shift focus to other things, gentlemen, because time is really flying. And just recently, at least once more, IEBC, at a meeting with presidential agents, abandoned the usage of second forms 34A booklets after pressure from the Odinga coalition. And we saw the Raila team actually raise a couple of observations, or rather reservations, around this particular issue. Let's just listen in to what the chair, Wafula Chebukati, had to say around these queries on the Form 34As, which they actually sorted out with the major stakeholders, the political parties involved in the election.
It's one booklet, the first booklet for purpose of transmission of results for presidential election. We shall only use one booklet from 34A for purpose of transmitting presidential results for purpose of the 2022 elections. The second booklet will be sealed on arrival at the polling station in a tamper-proof envelope and will be kept in the ballot box and sealed together with the materials at the end of polling. So the second will be brought to the National Tallying Center for purposes of verification of results by the National Presidential Returning Officer. Then the copies will be allocated as follows. 4 copies will be given to agents of presidential candidates. 1 copy will be put in the ballot box and will be sealed together with the materials which are supposed to be in the box. And that then leaves 1 copy which is supposed to be pasted on the door. And we have agreed that the presiding officer will make arrangements to make a photocopy of the original for purpose of pasting on the door of the polling station before he leaves the polling station.
Okay, so Wafula Chebukati right there speaking on that Form 34A, which is a statutory document for the presidential results declaration at the polling station, which you remember the Supreme Court in 2017 declared as final. Wed, I'd like to begin with you on this. As a legal mind, we saw Raila's team raise observations around that Form 34A. two booklets were actually printed, separate entities, and they mentioned that this perhaps might lead to different presidential results being declared. That's a possibility. What's your observation around the push and pull 8 days to the general election and the state of preparedness, especially under the IEBC? Today they launched is it a call center? So perhaps we hope communication between IEBC and members of the public will be on a free-flow basis. Your take?
Thank you. First of all, let's be very clear. In my assessment as a Kenyan, I think IEBC is prepared. You can make a hullabaloo about preparations. Once you have the ballot papers and you have the personnel to distribute them and the candidates and agents, you are prepared. We do these elections even in the village. If there is good faith, then now good faith, you just tear pieces of paper and say, ta, 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 ta. The problem is the heart of man is inclined to evil. God himself declared. So there's intention to steal, intention to mess up, and the fear of one another. So anytime there is some booklet, it becomes very big. Otherwise, I'm told, I don't know, that the booklets, I think there was a difference in the serial number, and I think one was a safety measure. But somebody says this one will be used to do the rigging. If you discard it the way they have discarded, I see no problem. Okay. But what we need, one, is good faith. Two, is openness. And we would reach there one day when the paying of agents, hiring, training, and paying of all candidate agents is done or funded by the state. People get the agents, they are funded, then people are mixed. Begambo here should go to Ichaweri as the agent, as Jenga goes to Bondo, and Weda goes to that place. Yes, but when Begambo is in his village, when they're adding extra papers and they're saying Baba is taking, and the other one is saying the Chief Chikazela is taking, these are now the infallibility of the humans. Otherwise, if we choose to do elections well, it will be done. But I think for now, IEBC is fairly well prepared. Even if there are mistakes, let us not create doubts. Because if we create these doubts, people will build on this and we can beat one another over it when some people lose and some people win. Okay. Let us tell them we are prepared. If a mistake comes, we will examine it. If somebody makes noise, say, go to Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court throws you up, say, keep quiet. If Ruto loses, you say, you are still young. If Baba loses, we say 2027, it's still there, we will keep in prayer. Okay. But this country must remain stable, must remain strong.
As simple as that.
Yes.
Javas, as you come in, the likelihood of this election ending at the Supreme Court, what's your analysis of that? And apart from that, as I was watching the IEBC interacting with some of these stakeholders, the parties, one query, I saw the DP's camp and Odinga's camp actually agree on, question on the effectiveness of IEBC's contingency plan in a case where the result transmission was it 1,000 polling stations that don't have 3G or 4G network? What will be done in this case? Questions around preparedness, if any?
Well, first, elections are not a matter of life and death. It should be a matter of democracy to make societies progress. In this country of ours, we've had far too many elections. Men and women who've lost elections, some are living, some are dead. Life is going on. So even as we head into this election, people should know that it's not about life and death. Now, the issue of integrity is at the center of democratic processes, especially election organizing and being managed.
Yeah.
For Chebukati, this is going to be his last election to conduct. So for him, it must be a personal issue, a legacy issue, that when he presided over various general elections, what is it that's now on record about that kind of effort when he was the chair? So for him, I'm sure, if there's anything that Chebukati wants, is that this election will be open, free, and fair, and not bungled, because it will soil his legacy completely, if at all this election is not free and fair.
Okay.
On the issue of the Supreme Court, now, on matters of natural justice, on matters of fair administration, on matters of things being arbitrated or adjudicated in a manner that is fair to every participant. It is important that we have such kind of judicial processes that takes care of that. Because our country is far better compared to a country like Tanzania, where once elections are announced, the presidential results, the only place you can go is hell. You can't go to the courts. And so we are lucky as a country that we have that codified.
All right.
But also, it is very important for any person who believes in justice and fairness to always prepare for such kind of eventuality. I am sure that Raila Odinga, who went to the Supreme Court in 2013, went to the Supreme Court in 2017, will easily go to the Supreme Court in 2022 in the event he loses, and there are queries about how the election was conducted.
Okay.
If William Ruto loses to Raila and has got grounds and reasons as to why he challenges that declaration, he has the right, the freedom, and the opportunity. And I can assure you that all these campaign teams, right now, they are doing everything with a microscopic eye to gather that which can be useful to them in the event they have to approach the Supreme Court to challenge the results of the presidency.
Okay, Dr. Ariadne.
Let me say this, that IEBC has a deep history since the introduction of multi-party democracy in 1992. That's a fact. Another fact is that IEBC has always been in contention with the playing parties from 1992 forward. The parties that have been involved, especially the general elections, they have always been having issues with IEBC. That is a continuous line even today. One thing that I want to mention, the bone of contention for now, at least for now, is the Form 34A.
Yeah.
And this is the presidential, and I think we need to educate and to inform our public that this form is for the presidential fill-up, where it is actually supposed to, outlines everything about the presidential, the lawyer can do that better than me.
Yeah,
but let me tell you, there is also other forms. That 6A, that 7A, those are not in contention, up to that 9A. But I have a problem with IEBC for not involving the stakeholders from point A to where we are. In public policy, they believe that participating the stakeholders and involving them at every level might avoid so many conflicts that comes at the end.
All right.
Raila Odinga and Ruto and the two others, they are contesting why is there an extra form of 34A with the seal and with they are talking of a number that are different and so forth. But the question is, there is an element. And I can understand the political parties. There's an element why print two originals for the same purpose. And then they are saying no.
I think it's proper for us to not cast IEBC in bad light. I think, Dr. Ari, so far, IEBC has demonstrated that it is ready, willing, and freely engaging all stakeholders. And that's why it's when there was some furore about the issues of the forms, it invited other presidential candidates. It's engaging various actors, including other political parties, other candidates, etc. And so I think it may be helpful for us also to help that body in terms of...
Sydney, I wanted to mention this point. Voter education, to the best of my knowledge, has not reached Mama Boga mwenye yako huko. How will the disabled, people with disability vote? That is what we call education. But the IEBC has not come out clearly to tell us how will they accommodate persons with disability. That's one. The older people. How will be the modus operandi on the day? These are some of the things that we are expecting, but they have not brought it out. And that
in IEBC's defense, I think they mentioned they'll have people with disabilities polling booths this time round. They had mentioned that, just to clarify.
Yes, and I think so far we have seen IEBC making various improvements, election after election, and this is good. What I think moving forward is very essential, especially on matters to do with the 1,111 polling stations that do not have access to the 3G
or 4G network.
Or 4G. The important things is for IEBC and the various telecoms, together with the Communication Authority, to give that assurance and support that is needed to IEBC to facilitate those polling stations, so that we do not have to suffer various delays or anxieties on the part of some to do with the relaying of the results.
Well, we've heard of satellite modems or whatnot, a lot being talked about. So whether, well, you seem to believe that IEBC is well prepared to handle this general election, and I think that's a matter we can put to rest. As we finalize, give me your take on the pronouncements made by the court touching on one of the running mates. I'm talking about the Madira Member of Parliament, Rigathi Gachagua. I understand he might appeal that court decision that sort of rendered him to submit 202 million back to the government, which is believed to have been gotten through corrupt means, quote unquote.
Thank you. Let me give expert now. That's expert. But let me remind my brother, IEBC is a creation of 2010 Constitution, so it has not been there since multi-party.
ECK and
ECK has been there.
The body, of course.
Number two, IEBC can only do things when they are given money. So this Mama Mbogo, you want educated, go and ask your MP, did you give them money? Let's be fair when we criticize people. That is what we do. Now let's come to Madera MP. The money we are talking about was held in the bank. You can't remove it, it is there. We have a law called Procamla. You know Procamla? Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act. Then we have Prevention of Organized Crimes. These are, and then we also have international conventions. Now this law works like this. Begambo here builds a huge mansion in his village. That law allows us to ask him, Begambo, we have invested this building, 45 million lei. How did you get this money? Then you say, oh, my cousin gave me this. We go to the cousin, my uncle, this and this. If you cannot explain, that money is deemed to have been proceeds of crime, and it will be forfeited to the state. The court can and will order. So Gachagua had 200 million slain. He was asked, can you explain how you got this? He said, some contract, some what, some what. The court will look. You remember the court, the judges also, they have not come from Mercury or Mars. We are just living in this village together. We are Kenyans. So when you bring in abracadabra stories, they look at it and they say, we are satisfied, so and so was not able to explain, and therefore it is forfeited. It does not mean you have been convicted of any crime. It does not mean you have been convicted of anything. Chapter 6. It just insinuates that you could have been involved. It is as fluid as you can pick money in the which forest? Kakamega forest. Yeah, you can make some money there and then you go with it. When you are asked, and this 10 million, the gambo, where did it come from? Then you say, Daktari gave me. We go to Daktari. Or you can choose to keep quiet. When you keep quiet, you can't explain. It will be deemed to be proceeds of crime. Take it. This is how the capitalism will prevent these thieves and robbers. So that is where Gachagua found himself. It has nothing to do with Chapter 6 and is running as deputy president. Those who are saying that, I know Honorable Raila said that, but he was talking as a politician. He should have consulted serious lawyers. In conclusion, about Supreme Court, 2 reasons why people go to Supreme Court. Number one, you may be genuinely feeling there was a problem with the election. But the main thing is, you must keep your supporters intact. How do you keep them intact? You say, they stole our votes. Now, that is a philosophy we do even in the village. You get 2 votes, but you say they were stealing our votes, so you have to go to the Supreme Court. Finally, lawyers don't eat grass. We eat caviar, we eat omena, and things like that. You buy those things with money. So we will advise these guys, Supreme Court, so that we have fees.
Lawyers, anyway. He's explained the legal aspect of it. Let's analyze the political aspect, because the politicians are shouting about it. This is ammunition for the opponents of Rigathi Gachagua.
Yeah, and just to finalize on matters legal, from my learned senior as well, in the sentiments, you see, accountability is a very essential thing in this country. And so any person should be ready and willing to explain how they've made their money. Whether he's a lawyer and he'll tell you that, you know, I have these 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clients. I'm a lawyer, I'm an expert, a consultant. I'll explain that this is how I've made my money. So everybody should be able to and ready to be held to account. Now, politically speaking, is that in a way, it's like some kind of needle beneath your feet. It's at a very dangerous point in this election for you to be brought down by the weight of such issues. And remember that your opponents will not give you time to sleep. They will come hitting you left, right, and center. And that's what even the Azimio team is now doing with the Rigathi case. Saying that now, you see, that team, you know, it matters corruption, you see they cannot be accountable, etc. So that kind of ammunition will be thrown at you like a wet blanket to make sure that you fall to the ground. And of course, it's important for Rigathi to, you know, go to the appeals court for purposes of that, you know, if at all he can explain it there better than he did at the High Court. Yes. Yeah. But I think already, to some great extent, it has given him a bad name politically. Because so far, the fact that, and it was all over, and see even how his opponents have sunk their teeth in this issue, just the way the hyenas of Wajakoya go for an antelope. And so in this case, I think what the Kenya Kwanza team needs to do is not to be coy about that court decision. They should instead work to magnify other critical issues where the opponents are weak and to run away with their message, especially this 1 week. Because this distraction, if at all they start concentrating on matters of accountability, they will lag behind in this 1 week when the opponents are sprinting.
They just say that it's President Uhuru who is pushing these things.
Yes.
But that's what they're saying. What do you think about that counter move by Kenya Kwanza?
I know this right.
I know. You see, even yesterday, for example,
let's
before the trial speaks. Remember what Rigathi said yesterday, that you see, you've taken my money, you've taken everything else. He's pointing the fingers at Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
And even other things to do with JM, etc. What they are trying to do is use an opportunity to speak about things that other people speak in whispers, and that nobody else can speak authoritatively any other place. During the campaigns, it's the right time to use that platform to say anything that you feel you can.
Dr. Finally.
Thank you. Yes. I want to say this on what my senior said. IEBC came with a new constitution, but the electoral body, how we used to call it, began in 1992.
Yes.
I wanted to correct that. Secondly, I have no problem with the issue of corruption and money being held. My only problem is the timing. And that is the problem, and that is political. It is wrong. That is my position. It is wrong because the timing
is suspicious.
Remember, and let me qualify my point. 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 days after, in Machakos, Raila used that and said, and even his deputy, they used that to say that he is not qualified to be the deputy for Ruto. That is wrong. Time, wrong. We are not condoning corruption. Let it be handled the ruthless way, but let's not use political gimmicks to fix or frustrate people to garner votes.
So what's
my
wrong?
point?
The court's giving a ruling at this particular...
Court has been compromised, and that is my position.
I think
Okay.
Jesse, let's face it.
Yeah,
we must not tether the courts on matters politics. Courts must render their work in an independent, free manner and within their timetable.
Okay.
You see, we cannot tell the courts that now, because it's campaign season, suspend every kind of judgment that you are to make until elections are over.
Just allow me to say this
Kindly, yeah.
as a senior lawyer.
Yeah.
You understand that? The decision was made by Justice Maina Lady, one of the most strictest, straight, honest lady. I'm talking out of my personal knowledge.
Okay.
Strict, straight, tough, and very quiet. Secondly, this is not a case that started yesterday. If you look at decisions of Justice Ngugi, the one who is now in the Court of Appeal, you read that decision, it's the same thing. It is a case which should have been decided a long time ago. In fact, we should be asking the judiciary, why did you take long? Thirdly, there's a way the universe mixes up. They say that when you are falling, the day the mark is falling, every tree becomes slippery. Why did Gachagua, my brother, decide he has 200 million ceiling over a contract, whatever? Let's be fair to our judiciary. They are doing their best,
Okay.
and here we have a lot of confidence in them.
All right.
And they released it at the right time when it hurts most. We thank God for it.
Okay, gentlemen, I think fair play. That's a proper point to finalize today's deliberations. I hope each and every one of you will be voting come August 9th so we can actually exercise our civic right at the ballot. Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Solomon Jenga, governance expert. Well, it's been a hot seat today, huh? I must say so. Javas Bigambo, political analyst. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Ambrose Weda, asante sana for your time, advocate. That's how we wrap up today's deliberations right here on Checkpoint. Of course, we'll continue monitoring the state of preparedness, not just from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission side, but equally the political game players, what they're saying and what repercussions it might have. But what stands out is that we need to have peaceful general elections. Thank you for watching. Have yourself a good night.